Tonight, travelers on high alert. Air Canada planning to cancel flights ahead of a possible strike.
Maybe someone can help me from an Air Canada customer service, and they said they can't.
What you need to know before heading to the airport. Plus, a state of emergency declared on Vancouver Island.
We were looking at this fire as heading the other way, growing away from the community. So this was a big shift, and it came quite suddenly.
What sparked the surprise evacuation alert for a small city? And a 1 in a million moment.
At the end of the day, everything happens for a reason, and I guess this was the reason.
How one man is giving back after surviving a lightning strike.
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina. Reporting tonight, Heather Wright.
Good evening. Air Canada will begin canceling flights tomorrow, gradually suspending takeoffs and landings in preparation for a potential work stoppage. That could happen on Saturday just before 1 a.m. Eastern Time. CTV's Judy Trin now on whether there can be an 11th hour deal to avert a strike.
Air Canada plans to ground their planes before flight attendants walk off the job, leaving customers in a desperate lurch. Marianne Barrow may not get to her family reunion in LA. She was notified in an email her Sunday flight could be canceled.
It's been 3 hours. I'm on hold, like waiting. So I told my husband, drop me off at the airport. Maybe someone can help me from an Air Canada customer service. And they said they can't.
To explain why the airline is locking out employees before a strike, Air Canada President Michael Rousseau says the airline regrets the impact of the disruption. He blames the disappointing conduct of CUPE's negotiators and says an uncontrolled shutdown such as a strike can create chaos. Taking this preemptive action could cost the airline hundreds of millions of dollars.
If you settle too soon, you gave up too much away. And if you wait too long, it really hurts your profitability. So there's a tension there.
Air Canada's latest offer included a 38% boost in wages over 4 years and improved pension, ground pay, and crew rest. The union, representing 10,000 flight attendants, says the offer doesn't keep pace with inflation. Their last contract was negotiated a decade ago.
The company came to us with a very minimal wage proposal. So they put 8% on the table in the first year, and that still would not pull our members out of the poverty level at the beginning.
Air Canada flies 130,000 passengers a day, including this couple departing for Croatia. They're standing by the workers.
We think that they should get paid for what they're doing. If they're not getting paid for those hours boarding and deplaning, they should be paid for that.
For now, the federal government is staying on the sidelines, but is offering to mediate. The clock is ticking. The strike deadline is Saturday at the stroke of midnight. Heather.
All right, Judy Trin in Ottawa. Thanks, Judy. And as Judy mentioned, more than 130,000 people fly with Air Canada every single day. And so the question is what to do if you're booked with the airline. Here's CTV's Adrian Gabriel.
Traversing the globe just got more turbulent for Air Canada passengers. You're supposed to return home to Canada from Spain. Are you worried if there'll be an Air Canada plane for you?
Yes, definitely worried.
We're supposed to return out of Barcelona on the 29th, but...
You'll wait and see if there's a plane for you.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll look after us.
That consumer faith comes with a caveat.
While there are provisions and there are rules in there that protects passengers, it's still really unclear.
When a flight cancellation is within an airline's control, passengers are due additional compensation. However, the Canadian Transportation Agency's Air Passenger Protection Regulations state that situations outside an airline's control include a labor disruption within the carrier or within an essential service provided.
They're treated like a giant winter storm, which basically means it's outside of the control, so there's no compensation. However, the airline still needs to complete your journey. So they'll automatically need to be looking at their competitors.
The country's largest airline has promised to refund passengers and work with other airlines to rebook their travel, though in a press release, Air Canada points to the fact that given other carriers are already very full due to the summer travel peak, securing such capacity will take time and in many cases will not be immediately possible. Understanding your travel coverage is going to be vital, according to the experts.
If you do make a change proactively to your flight, you do have, then at that point, you're sort of tied to the conditions of your ticket. So was it a non-refundable? Was it a flex?
When it comes to additional coverage, it's always a good idea to check with your credit card provider to see if you have any built-in travel insurance options. Though no matter which way you slice it, Air Canada passengers could be in for a bumpy stretch of travel in the days ahead. Heather.
All right, Adrian Gabriel at Pearson Airport tonight. Thanks, Adrian. And for up-to-the-minute updates on this story, visit our website, ctvnews.ca. A state of emergency has been declared in the small Vancouver Island city of Port Alurnie as a wildfire the size of Victoria creeps closer. CTV's BC Bureau Chief Andrew Johnson spoke to residents there as they prepare to leave.
Hans Wozniak and his partner aren't wasting any time packing up and getting out of Port Alurnie.
Once we had the evacuation notice, then all of a sudden it's okay, everything, all the important stuff needs to be packed. If it comes down to it, if we gotta go, we gotta go.
They're going on vacation early after the city declared a state of emergency and put hundreds of homes, including theirs, on evacuation alert.
Kind of hard to see with the smoke, but there are 3 homes there.
A nearby First Nation has also declared a state of emergency and told people to be ready to leave on very short notice.
To see the kind of fear in their eyes about their home and the sadness, worried about what could happen to their own home, it's something I'll never forget.
The Mount Underwood fire, now burning over more than 21 square kilometers, is being fueled by heat and strong winds. The new evacuation alert in Port Alurnie came as a surprise after a significant shift in the wind.
That was a step that we certainly hoped not to have to take. Up until yesterday afternoon, we were looking at this fire as, heading the other way, growing away from the community. So this was a big shift, and it came quite suddenly.
Evacuation orders already chased hundreds of people from a nearby campground and marina, and 2 small villages haven't had power for days.
Can't imagine how difficult this is. We expect that these power outages to be prolonged. We're working to support and ensure that there are generators in place for their emergency operations center, for the local healthcare center.
Fire crews are focusing on the edge of the fire closest to homes, and they're supported by 10 aircraft. Now all eyes are on the forecast. Rain could fall as soon as tomorrow night. Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Vancouver.
Cool wet weather is expected to bring some relief to crews in Atlantic Canada and Newfoundland. Firefighters are making progress near St. John's, and as CTV's Garrett Berry reports, they're getting some much-needed help from outside of the province.
Another run from a water bomber before it slips behind the smoke. Count 4 of the province's regular tankers and 2 more from Quebec working here today. But so desperately needed, they're also being shared with another fire in the Conception Bay North area, and other aircraft are in central Newfoundland, where evacuation advisories grew again today in cabin areas. There's so much demand across the country that firefighters are being stretched thin.
Basically, every resources are being used, whether it's aircraft or equipment or firefighting.
So now officials in Newfoundland and Labrador are looking further. They're bringing in privately owned aircraft. A pair of Black Hawk helicopters from Utah, a Sikorsky Fire Raptor, and a handful of other high-capacity helicopters. The bill for the rentals, more than $8 million.
The approach we're taking right now is to get as many assets here as we can. If we overpay and don't need them because the fires are out, I'll take that all day long.
What hasn't helped is a string of fires set overnight in downtown St. John's and some of the city's busiest areas that police believe are all suspicious.
There's been a lot of speculation across the province over the past number of days about the cause of some of these fires, and today's information from St. John's is the closest that any official source has gone to suggesting there's some ill intent behind some of these incidents.
We suspect that one person is responsible for multiple fires in this case.
Police say it's too early to talk about motive, but like the much bigger Paddy's Pond fire, they're looking to speak with anyone who has information. Garrett Berry, CTV News, St. John's.
Officials in Nova Scotia say a wildfire burning in Halifax was caused by humans.
The cause of the fire was related to human activity. It was an open fire. There was nobody in the area when the crews arrived on scene.
The fire started yesterday, sparking an evacuation of several businesses just 10 kilometers from downtown Halifax. Officials say the fire is now being held. In New Brunswick, firefighting efforts and favorable weather are giving crews the upper hand on one of two major fires. Here's CTV's Sarah Plowman.
The evening brought a gift. Relief for this firefight and the people who live near it.
I was in a meeting when it started to rain and we were all just giddy with excitement and on the verge of tears.
All week, New Brunswick has been sweltering under a heat wave. Forests are tinder dry as firefighters try to tackle two major fires, one near Miramichi, the other near Moncton.
These conditions are being made worse by the extremely hot weather.
3 firefighters have been treated in hospital for heat exhaustion.
I'm pleased to say that everything's tracking in a good direction with them. It's tough work.
Several communities smashed daily heat records.
Miramichi, for example, has been around 38 degrees. Yesterday hitting 38.6. I mean, this has been one of the hottest places in the country the last few days.
The fire near Miramichi is more than 1,300 hectares, still burning out of control and growing, but slower than it was. The Minister of Natural Resources calls it beyond control, stressing what they need is rain.
The best we can do at the moment is be able to steer the trajectory of that fire. I guess an illustration of the fact that we've been successful at doing that. We've been able to save all structures.
Still, it's difficult to watch.
It's unnerving because you don't know what to take, what to do.
The fire near Moncton is now contained with a perimeter of water and retardant around it. The rain didn't last long, but it brought with it cooler temperatures, and more thunderstorms are expected tomorrow. Up until now, New Brunswick hasn't experienced rain this August. Sarah Plowman, CTV News, Miramichi, New Brunswick.
A scorching heat wave is fueling destructive wildfires across southern Europe. In Greece, more than 150 new fires have started in the past day. Thousands have been evacuated from their homes, while thousands of firefighters are on the front lines. At least 3 people have died in Spain, Albania, and Turkey as temperatures pass 40 degrees Celsius. Spain is now asking the European Union for assistance. U.S. President Donald Trump spoke to European leaders today ahead of Friday's summit with Russia's president in Alaska, aimed at ending the war in Ukraine. And as CTV's Michael Couture reports, Trump issued a fresh warning to Vladimir Putin.
I don't have to say there will be very severe consequences.
President Trump with a stern but vague warning to Vladimir Putin if the Russian president isn't serious about negotiating in Alaska. Now, if that meeting does go well, the American president wants to move quickly towards another summit.
I would like to do it almost immediately, and we'll have a quick second meeting between President Putin and President Zelensky and myself if they'd like to have me there.
European leaders emerged from a video conference with Trump this morning saying all agree. Any change to Ukraine's borders must be decided by Ukrainians. That call was to shape Friday's discussion. While Zelensky won't be at that table, he hopes the central focus is a ceasefire. Putin is bluffing about wanting to end the war, Zelensky told reporters, as well as European leaders and Trump. After a separate meeting of European countries and Canada, the Coalition of the Willing released a statement saying it is ready to implement military plans to support Ukraine in the event of a ceasefire.
We're ready to support this, including through the plans that we've already drawn up to deploy a reassurance force once hostilities have ceased.
When that could be remains an open question. Russian forces have reportedly pushed into territory held by Ukraine in the Donetsk region.
The only thing that is going to put an end to this war is if the U.S. gives a lot more military aid to Ukraine and allies itself with the Europeans and Zelensky.
President Zelensky has been pushing for more economic sanctions on Russia to cripple its war machine, something Trump has been reluctant to consider so far. Heather?
Mike Couture in Ottawa. Thanks, Mike. Coming up.
She's told me she'll stab me in my sleep.
How an online group targeted an Alberta teenager. A warning for parents now about the dangers of violent online groups targeting children in Canada. CTV's Terry Fikowski spoke to an Alberta mother who says her teenage daughter was manipulated and exploited.
This quiet rural community is the last place you'd expect a child to be targeted by a violent international extremist network, but that's the living nightmare unfolding for the mother of a 14-year-old girl in small-town central Alberta. CTV is not identifying her or the family's location for their safety.
She locks herself in her room. She doesn't want to associate with anyone in the home.
Her daughter struggled with her mental health for years, but things escalated to a frightening tipping point roughly a year ago.
She'd written on her wall in blood. She had cut herself here and carved on her legs.
She also discovered disturbing sexually exploitive pictures and conversations on her phone with a member of 764, an ideologically motivated child exploitation enterprise formed in 2021, named after the founder's zip code in Texas. The founder of the group, who was just 15 at the time, is now serving an 80-year prison sentence, and the FBI has charged other alleged leaders. A few teens have been charged here in Canada, but the RCMP says 764 operates under a number of different aliases, making it hard to pin down and remains a serious threat.
It is a combination of neo-Nazism, Satanism, and self-harm. They also call it accelerationism, which means basically trying to get to the point where it's anarchy.
Members use encrypted platforms like the instant messaging service Discord. They also use popular online games Roblox and Minecraft to recruit youth.
The most disturbing stuff that you can imagine. Not only are they getting kids to self-harm, but they're also convincing their kids to, kill and mutilate animals, family pets, abuse siblings.
She's told me she'll stab me in my sleep.
Desperate to protect her family, this mother took away her daughter's phone and devices, only to learn she was still accessing the platforms at school, and says seeking support from the school board, healthcare system, and police has been an exhausting uphill battle.
She doesn't think I care, but I'm doing this all because I love her.
Nobody has been charged, but she's not giving up. Terry Fikowski, CTV News in Central Alberta.
Still ahead for us. A pop star's new pledge to a prairie province. China is set to slap a 76% tariff on Canadian canola starting tomorrow, a move that will devastate an industry already struggling with a tough growing season. CTV's Alex Karpa spoke to farmers today about preparing for a harvest in the shadow of a trade war.
We're hopeful it's going to be pretty good. Canola is a really hard one to judge.
Manitoba canola farmer David Hamblin is keeping an eye on his crops. Drought conditions have gravely impacted farmers this year.
We still got an okay crop. I think the cereals have suffered a little bit more than some of the other crops.
Dry and warm conditions are not the only thing on his mind. Fresh new tariffs on canola imports from China is bringing forth unnecessary added stress.
Yeah, it's something that we're unfortunately getting kind of used to, that we're seeing these political things that are happening. And it's not, I don't think, near as shocking as these things used to be.
Canola seed production generated $12.9 billion in 2024, making it the most valuable field crop in the country. China, which nearly sources all of its supplies of the product from Canada, announced preliminary duties on canola imports on Tuesday, escalating a years-long trade dispute.
Things are still unfolding. The challenge now is, okay, how do we survive this? How do we improve our cash flows without losing our bottom line, and that's a challenge.
Back in March, China imposed a 100% levy on Canadian canola oil and meal plus peas. With the new tariffs coming into effect on Thursday, canola farmers right across the country are dealing with a lot of uncertainty. Canada is now in trade conflicts with the world's two largest economies, China and the United States. Agriculture professor Derek Bruin says canola prices are really starting to take a hit.
On Monday, you could sell your canola to Altona for $660 a ton, and on Tuesday afternoon it went to $630. So that's a pretty big drop in a single day for any kind of market move.
Canola, we've got a couple miles up the road.
Hamblin would like to see these trade disputes resolved quickly. Despite the distractions, Hamblin says he is preparing for the harvest season. Alex Karpa, CTV News, Morris, Manitoba.
American pop star Chappell Roan's latest single put the spotlight on Saskatchewan, and now she's planning a visit.
I've never been there, but I promise I will perform there one day.
Roan says it's time the Prairie Province gets recognized globally after her hit song, The Subway, mentioned moving to Saskatchewan to get over a breakup. It has sparked a frenzy among fans and a surge of interest in visiting the province.
This is my brand new album.
And new details on Taylor Swift's upcoming album, The Life of a Showgirl, were revealed on her boyfriend Travis Kelce's podcast, including the album cover and track list. The album drops on October 3rd. Still ahead, how this man turned a lightning strike into striking it lucky for others. 12 years ago, lightning struck and it changed Paul Matheson's life forever. He developed health issues and went into a deep funk, but he eventually found recovery in an unusual way. Here's CTV's Maria Saru.
Step for step, Paul Matheson is never alone out here. Some follow him on 4 legs, some on 2. This farm wasn't always a part of his plan, but a 1 in a million moment rewrote the rest of his life.
At the end of the day, everything happens for a reason, and I guess this was the reason.
On a day as sunny as this one in August 2013, Matheson says a storm suddenly started. He ran outside to roll up his truck windows when he was struck by lightning.
There was a big bang and white flash all at once. The lightning hit the telephone pole, come down the guide wire, and basically threw me into the truck.
In the aftermath, Matheson was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder and had to give up his work as a paramedic. For nearly 3 decades, he served communities in Canada and around the world, from Algeria to Paris.
Now Matheson's work is here at the Brudenell Miniatures Barnyard Zoo. It all started with a pint-sized horse he bought his granddaughter. Then, over the years, he filled a farm.
These days, it's how he gives back.
It's our favorite place to come to every single time we come visit PEI. It brings the kids a lot of joy.
I like seeing the animals. They're so cute, and I just like to have a chance to feed them. He bites my hand.
Matheson says it's these smiles that make the experience all mean something.
What's your favorite animal?
The PTSD is hard for him to talk about, but he wants to help raise awareness. He says while lightning can strike without warning, so can happiness. Maria Saru, CTV News, Brudenell, Prince Edward Island.
And that's our show for this Wednesday. For all of us here at CTV National News, thanks for watching. Good night, and we'll see you again tomorrow.
Canada's #1 newscast for excellence in journalism.
We begin tonight with breaking news.
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina, winner of the Canadian Screen Award for Best National Newscast. Watch weeknights at 11